You make me feel my Barbie doll is really real.
Barbie dressed for swim and fun is only $3. Her lovely fashions range from $1 to $5. Look for Barbie wherever dolls are sold.
Someday I'm gonna be exactly like you. Till then I know just what I'll do. Barbie, beautiful Barbie, I'll make believe that I am you.
You can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
Hello darlings and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can see, we're going for 1950s Barbie makeup. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. I remember a while ago when all of those 1950s Barbies transformations were kind of coming up everywhere. And I wanted to do my own only. I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about Barbie as a product and as a doll, and kind of a little in defense of Barbie, because I've noticed that the doll is getting a lot of criticism over the last few years. You know, people kind of seem to be attaching all of the woes of the patriarchy and the world onto this one doll, and I think that's really unfair. So I was, unsurprisingly, a Barbie child. I was obsessed with Barbie. I love Barbie. That really hasn't left. I think I've just become a Barbie. But she meant a lot to me when I was little, and I thought I would share my thoughts and experiences with that and kind of debunk some of the popular misconceptions that I keep seeing about her in the form of a chatty makeup tutorial. So I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a long one, so I'll just let you get started. So I've already applied my foundation and my eyebrows, and now let's get talking. I did research for this video. I was looking up, obviously we are always told that Barbie was the first kind of full-grown fashion doll to be invented, but there were actually miniature mannequins of French fashion houses that they sent out in reproductions of their clothing to promote those clothes. So in the 19th century, when illustrated journals replaced these little fashion emissaries, a doll-making industry emerged in Paris, essentially repurposing the mannequins as playthings for little girls. So from 1850 to 1880, fashion doll production flourished. Dolls came in all shapes and sizes. They had delicate bisque or porcelain faces, painted and moulded with care, and often featured stunning glass eyes. Dolls wore mohair or human hair wigs styled in intricate braids or ringlets. And most importantly, the dolls had jointed bodies, like the Barbie dolls we know today, enabling children to undress and redress the dolls with ease. Therefore, the dolls could stay true to their haute couture heritage. Manufacturers also profited from the wardrobes and trousseaux that accompanied the dolls, brimming with elaborate dresses and gowns for every occasion, as well as robes, coats, and a plethora of accessories: kid gloves, hats, parasols, purses, jewellery, and even opera glasses. According to the website Museum of Play, fashion dolls taught girls to be fashionable, well-behaved young women, and kept girls politely occupied in the home. So Barbie, as we know, came out in 1959. She was one of the first dolls marketed to young girls that was a woman, like a full-sized woman. Before that, dolls were all baby dolls because it was assumed that all little girls wanted to do was learn to play mother. Barbie was very revolutionary in her time for being a grown woman that had a career and an inner life outside of being a mother. So she did actually break a lot of social conventions of her time. Of course, she was a fashion model, and can we just point out that there is nothing inherently unfeminist or wrong with wanting to be a model or some other such profession? Like, that always really bugs me. She came out in the 50s. She's clearly styled in a very pin-uppy sort of way. She was a fashion model, but she was still an independent career woman, and I think that gets overlooked a lot. Tumblr user Marzipan and Minutai says, my own mum had a first issue Barbie doll in 1959 when she was just 6 years old. To her, Barbie was revolutionary. Here's a doll, she told me, that you weren't playing mama with. Here was a doll who had a life and a career outside of the home. I'd never seen anything like that, and I loved it. I, at my heyday, had about 70 Barbies, and they all had very varying careers. Some of them were princesses, some of them were horseback riders, some of them were surfers. I had the Barbie dream house. All of my Barbies lived together as a communal girl gang in the Barbie dream house, which, to be honest, is still my ideal life. Barbie has blue eyeshadow, so I'm going in with Royal from the Sleeping Beauty Besame palette, and I'm just going to apply that all over my lids. In my opinion, hating Barbie has become something of a cultural, like, virtue signalling thing. Like, people just repeat the same tired lines over and over again. And like, oh, I hate Barbie, or all she does is like pink and teach girls that all they should want is to be pretty. That was never a lesson I got from any of the films, of the dolls when I was younger. I loved pink. I was, and still am, obviously very hyper feminine. So I loved that Barbie loved pink, and I thought she was amazing, and all of the Barbie animated films taught girls to be brave and independent and to stand up for themselves, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, why are we so angry? Why are we so angry at Barbie? And I think it's, most people are trying to prove that I see a lot of people trying to prove their feminism by coming after things like Barbie and Disney princesses. And some people genuinely have like reasoned good points. I'm not saying that by any means there is no criticism to be made of Barbie dolls. I just think we need to remember where she comes from and her roots. And, you know, she is complicated. Her roots and the culture surrounding her are complicated, and they need to be treated as such. She is not monolithically good or bad. Taking another blue and pushing that into the crease. Getting on to the sticky topic of Barbies and body image. First of all, the tired argument that if Barbie were a real person, she would have to walk on all fours because her proportions are so weird. Barbara Millicent Roberts is a doll. Dolls do not have human proportions. I never understood that argument. Dolls are not meant to represent real human bodies any more than cartoons or anime or anything like that are meant to represent real human proportions. She's a doll. She's exaggerated. She's an exaggerated version of a highly idealized version of the female form. But I never once, as a child or even as a teenager, thought that Barbie was promoting unrealistic body expectations to me. I never felt pressured to look like my Barbie doll. I wanted to look like her. I really liked her blonde hair. I liked her clothes, but I didn't want my body to look like her. And I had way more problems with the monolithic force of things like the Victoria's Secret runway shows than I ever did with Barbie. And I think it's really dangerous to constantly say that you know, Barbie promotes unrealistic body expectations around children because they don't see things like that, and you're actually I wrote this down. Okay. All dolls are unrealistically proportioned, and this generally won't cause things like body dysmorphia or body image issues unless that is something perpetuated by the adults around them. If you are a child and you are told that a doll is giving you body image issues by an adult who knows better, because that's what you're taught as a child, that's gonna get in your head. If you're told to look at the doll in terms of what it can do and your imagination, that's all you're ever really gonna see, in my opinion. Blaming a doll is reductive to the far larger issues of diet culture and society's attitudes at large. And yes, I think it is awesome and well overdue that Barbie have introduced a really inclusive line of way more body types and skin tones and all the things like that. That's awesome. I think everyone should have the chance to see themselves as a Barbie doll. But I also don't think that we can blame Barbie for all of the woes of body image issues in young people when there are so many more damaging things that I think play a far larger role. And yes, there was once a Barbie doll that came with a little diet book that said don't eat. Screw that. That is awful, horrible and inexcusable messaging to give to children. But that was quite a long time ago, and we, society's awareness at large has come so far since then, or at least I would hope that, we shouldn't forget it. We shouldn't necessarily forgive it because, as I said, it is reprehensible, but we should judge the company for the steps they are trying to take now. I always saw Barbie as a tool to imagine what my life could be like as an adult. Barbie has had 72 plus careers, and they range from the heights of astronaut and president and Formula One driver and dentistry, doctor, veterinarian, all of those. And she's also been a beauty pageant queen, a maid, a cheerleader, a fast food worker, a secretary. So she's been at all levels of society. She's been to the, what our world would consider the highest of the heights, and also like the most menial service jobs. And I think that's really cool because it teaches young children that, hey, if Barbie's doing this, then must be pretty okay, must be pretty cool. Like, it doesn't matter if I end up doing something like that because Barbie's doing it. I think it's really unfair to call people who like Barbie vapid, shallow girly girls, because that is kind of the worst. It's really misogynistic, actually. It's more misogynistic than the dolls could ever try and be. Yeah, I get that not every girl wants to be hyper feminine, not every girl is obsessed with pink, and that's okay. I never saw... Speaking from my own personal experience, I never saw myself as superior to anyone because I was very much like Barbie, because in all of the media, Barbie was also kind and considerate, and she supported her friends, and Barbie has been very controversial over the years. Teen Talk Barbie, and I think it was the 90s, blurted out stuff like, can we ever have enough clothes? Which, me. I think that's kind of reflective of the consumerist society that teenagers are encouraged to participate in, especially in American culture, and I think Barbie is also a consumerist product. She is meant to be bought and then accessorized to the high heavens with all of the clothes and the dream house and the car and the separate things that you can buy, so I understand where that comes from. She also got a lot of backlash for one of her phrases being, I think it was math class is tough or something along those lines. Now, as a person who hated maths, hard relate, and you know, she got a lot of backlash for that, and people were saying really awful things. There are a lot of people for whom maths is an incredibly difficult subject, and I think it's unfair to label her, as she was at the time, as unfeminist for admitting that something was really difficult for her. Maybe I'm just being too much of an apologist, and please, all I want out of this video is for all of you to come down in the comments and tell me your thoughts and your opinions on this situation. But for me, maths was my most difficult subject. I used to cry all the time during revision for my GCSEs for maths. I found it so hard. So, you know, having someone like, having a Barbie doll that was like validating that struggle, I don't see a problem with that. Like, yes, maths is often singled out as a subject that, you know, oh my god, maths is so hard, but that's because maths genuinely is hard for a lot of people. Plus, Barbie is now in STEM. So, you know, that's kind of inspiring. She found maths really hard and now she's achieving high in the STEM fields. I just think it's important to have a diversity. There are so many different types of Barbies with so many different careers and so many life options, and I think what it teaches people at the end of the day, what it taught me is, you know, Barbie's slogan was, when I was little, was be who you want to be, and that was really inspiring to me. You know, it was like, I can do anything. Barbie's slogan in the 80s was, we girls can do anything, right Barbie? And I really like that. I think no matter what her missteps over the years, she has been kind of a cultural icon for a reason. She gives young people, and like, can we please stop pretending that boys can't enjoy playing with Barbies? Like, can we please end that tired, outdated gender stereotype? Boys can play with Barbies too. My cousin used to love playing with my Barbies because they're really, lots of them did really cool things. Like, I had the Princess and the Pauper Barbies that sang in tandem. That was so cool. But yeah, like, can we please stop pretending that boys don't play with Barbies? So I think that Barbie teaches young people that they can experiment and they can have fun and they can do all different kinds of things, and there are so many different paths in life that they can take. I'm not as up to date on the current Barbie. I know she has a YouTube channel now which they do like motion capture with, which is really cool. It reminds me of all the motion capture they used to do for the dancing films back in the day. But, you know, I think that Barbie has taken enough of our ire. Yes, we should hold our toys to a level of accountability, and our toy manufacturers. But I never ever saw anyone complain that He-Man gives unrealistic body expectations for young boys. But I constantly heard that girls who liked Barbie were stupid and vapid and shallow. And, you know, does that maybe say something about our society? Just saying. I apply my, this is like rant feminism society Barbie makeup. I apply my mascara first, and then I'm going to go in and apply my eyeliner, and I'm probably not going to be able to talk much while I do it. So original Barbie, which I really want one of those blonde Barbies with like the curly fringe and the ponytail and everything. She had a very 1950s look with with the blue eyeshadow and the red lipstick. That just makes me love her even more. I think we have to be very careful about where we go with our criticism of children's toys, because children will pick up on what adults say. Also, there's nothing inherently wrong with like careers that people say are shallow or silly. And I think it's important that Barbie's careers are so varied, because it breaks that stereotype of, you know, only being good at one thing, or that you know, oh, pretty girls are instantly stupid. Kind of breaks that stereotype very nicely. Calling someone a Barbie has become a really go-to insult to say, like, you're plastic, you're silly, you're fake. But I think the personality that Barbie as a character, especially in things like films, was always given was that she was very kind and genuine and open and caring. Is that even? It's as even as it's getting. Oh, look at them wangs. Yeah, I knew the tomboys and the more sporty girls who would cut all of Barbie's hair off. And then I knew there were girls like me who were very into the very pretty, girly side of it. And I like to have my Barbies go on like fun adventures. I gave them fun names. I married them off to each other sometimes. It was great. So this is the eyeshadow. Very quintessential 1950s look. When I was little, Barbie was kind of an advocacy for hyper-femininity that didn't talk down to me or tell me that I was stupid for liking all of the pink and girly things which I liked, which a lot of media kind of did. The girls who were really super girly and liked pink and all of that kind of, I don't know why I'm equating like being super girly and liking pink. You don't have to like pink to be girly, and you don't have to be girly to like pink, but you know, that kind of stereotype of hyper femininity was usually either an idiot, like comically stupid, or really, really mean. Barbie was super girly, super duper duper, hyper feminine, all day, every day. And she was also smart, kind, resourceful, hardworking, and generally kind of a badass. She was really cool. God, I've talked way too much, so I'm going to do my blush and my lipstick, and then we're going to wrap this up. Barbie is well known for her red lips. So I'm going to be using Mickey Red. We're not done, don't worry.
Why must I be a teenager in love?
Barbie's small and so petite. Her clothes and figure look so neat. Her dancing outfit rings the bell. At parties she will cast a spell. Purses, hats, and gloves galore. And all the gadgets gals adore.
Barbie dressed for swim and fun is only $3. Her lovely fashions range from $1 to $5. Look for Barbie wherever dolls are sold.
Someday.
So I hope that you enjoyed this makeup 1950s Barbie inspired makeup and that you liked hearing my little defense of Barbie. Please do let me know what you thought of this one. I would love for the comment section to get really super active, so drop your comments and your feelings in that comment section down below, and don't forget that you can follow me on all of my social media. You can follow me on Instagram at @AVeryVintageDarling, and you can follow me on Twitter at @VVintageDarling. I know this was probably quite a long one. I'm going to try and edit it down to be a lot more concise. We'll see how I go with that. I didn't really stop talking. But I still hope that it was enjoyable. I love you all so very much, and I will see you in my next video. Au revoir. So when I was in high school, we had an all-girls musical theatre class, and we were studying dance at the time, and we were studying the Nutcracker, and my teacher was like, have any of you ever seen the Nutcracker ballet performance? And we were all just kind of sat there like, and she went, have any of you ever seen the Barbie Nutcracker movie? 30 girls raised their hand in 2 seconds. It was just like, yes. Don't tell me Barbie's not a cultural icon.